If you're doing fentanyl, you might as well be playing Russian roulette. For real, like that's exactly what you're doing, is playing Russian roulette. Every hit you take, that could be it. Like there's no just, oh, I'm gonna take a little one. Like no, you're playing Russian roulette with your life.
My name is Stephanie Myers. I overdosed from fentanyl, and I'd like to share my story and how that happened. So I definitely never meant to become addicted to fentanyl. I unknowingly took a drug from the streets and became addicted, fully, physically, mentally dependent on fentanyl. It's kind of terrifying. Like, I definitely didn't mean to. But once I did it, there was literally no amount of heroin that could achieve that same high as the fentanyl. I remember thinking, like, I didn't even want fentanyl. I didn't want to become addicted to fentanyl. I know there was talk on the streets that it was bad, you know, so I wasn't gonna go there. I was aware of the dangers of it, and so when I took a hit, it was a real quick in and out. And I mean, like just even shorter than a breath, a normal breath, just, and I don't know what happened after that. That's when I overdosed. I know that my partner did CPR on me for what he remembers as 14 minutes until the ambulance got there, until paramedics arrived. I also know that when I woke up, they told me that they injected me with 4 doses of Narcan. The first one didn't work, the second one did not work, third didn't work, fourth one didn't work, and then my heart stopped. There's 23 minutes of my life that I was out. I was not existing in this world anymore. Yeah, that was pretty traumatic. You never know or think that you're gonna overdose and die in your house. This drug, it's so powerful. Like, I cannot express adequately with words how powerful fentanyl is. Like, I will never forget the withdrawal that came along with it. Mentally, emotionally, physically, like, just the desire to exist is very minimal. And that's the scariest part, is you unknowingly purchase it, or whatever, you're trying to smoke a joint or something so small, you think, and it's laced with fentanyl, and then your body becomes so addicted to it. You physically cannot function. I mean, I look back at pictures of me while I was on fentanyl, and I was gray. My skin tone was gray because my body could not function without it, and on it, quite frankly. If you think you're above the possibility of overdosing and dying, if you think you're above being addicted to fentanyl, which leads to overdose, I think you're wrong. I know you're wrong. I think it's a matter of time before you will die. I also want to just express that there's a better way. There's a better way to live life without risking your life, without dying.
We were using Percocet 30s. They were very popular. We would go back to our house and we would snort those, and I thought this was just recreational. This is what young kids do. I'm in my early 20s, I have a great job, I'm going to college, I'm gonna have a great career one day, I'm just experimenting, right? From there is where my real heroin addiction started. I'm not going to school anymore, I'm failing all my classes. I lived in my car after I lost my apartment. Now I'm using meth, right? I'm staying up all night, I'm in the casinos, I'm stealing. My life is complete and total chaos, and I am devastated on the inside. The physical aspect of detoxing, your skin is crawling and you're sweating, but you're freezing. And you're sick, but there's nothing that you can do to help that. It's some of the worst pain that you go through coming down from these types of drugs, and it's everything in your brain is telling you, what can you do to avoid this? All you know is to keep getting high. So this was probably like my 4th time overdosing. And I remember using the fentanyl, and it was unlike anything I had ever experienced before. Fentanyl is 10,000 times stronger. From what I'm told, I smoked it 3 times, so I inhaled it 3 different times. I don't remember any of it. So they used 2 Narcans, 2 of them in my nose, and then 2 separate injections in my arms. over like a 10-minute span. Thank God I woke up, because there was no talk of, 911's coming or anything like that, right? After that, I mean, that was it for me. I'm not ready to leave this earth. I would also tell people how severe it is. This took years from my life, years, and added a criminal history. I almost have, died several times. Strained the relationship with my family, strained relationships with my friends, physically injured me. There's things that I still have to work out years later. And this all started from recreational drug use, right? This just started from thinking like this one, pill is just a good time, which then turned into dependency, then withdrawal, and then, criminal activity and death, really. That is the chain of events. That picture is a great visual, looking at that and seeing what happened, by using these drugs, what happened to me in such a quick span. I had lost everything. Everything I worked for years and years was gone in a matter of months because of this drug. The heroin and fentanyl killed me several times, and I still went back. There is no such thing as recreational drug use anymore. So any single time that you pick up any substance, there is the potential that there's fentanyl in there. There is no such thing as cocaine or marijuana or these Percocets that I was talking about. They don't exist anymore. It's all fentanyl.
My name is Darcy Patterson, and I'm here to share my story. My daughter, Kirsten Yamaoka, she's beautiful, smart, talented, educated. She got into using drugs from a friend. She started taking Percocets, and it wasn't for pain, and it wasn't because she was prescribed them, which she was not. She was taking them, and then became addicted to them. And then when she couldn't buy them any longer, moved on to heroin and progressed through heroin, which started with smoking it and then shooting it. She was 16 at the time. She was sneaking out of the house. She was stealing things. She stole my car. She was involved with being on the street, selling her body, stealing. We searched for her for 5 days. She was in her car in Idlewild Park by herself. So yes, she did die March 1st, 2017. It was her birthday. She was 21. And she was all alone. Of course, I lost it and couldn't function, didn't know what to do, and I fell down on the ground outside, and I was so loud and so scary that I scared my son. And he'll never forget that cry, that guttural cry that I had from the deep, dark parts of me, that only someone who's lost a child knows how it sounds and how it feels. People, say, oh, not my kid, oh, not my kid, not my kid, not my family member. And let me tell you, it can be your kid, and it can be your family member. So if I were to tell the middle schoolers and the high schoolers right now a message that would help them to stay away from this situation, don't start. All that would take would be one-time use, and they could die. One pill, one snort, one injection, and now even vaping marijuana, there's fentanyl in vaping marijuana. They could die one time.
My name is Nick Claich. I'm a division chief with the Sparks Fire Department. The phrase "one pill can kill" is 100% accurate. An example that I wanted to share with you, we had a construction crew that was working from California, and they were staying at the Motel 6 on Victorian, which is less than a mile from this fire station. We got a call for an unresponsive male. One of their friends who was part of the crew injured his back during the day, and one of the other friends said, "I have a pain pill that someone gave me. He thought it was a Vicodin." The man took it, laid down on bed to take a nap. When they came back an hour and a half later, he was deceased. There was nothing that we could do as medical responders. His heart had stopped, he had no brain activity, and he was a 25-year-old man. When you looked at him, he was strong, he was healthy, he had a family, he had all the things ahead of him, and it was a mistake that his friend didn't even know was occurring. The pill looked exactly like a real Vicodin. It was the same color, it was the same shape. You cannot tell which pill is real and which one is made with fentanyl. It's just basically called a pill pressing operation. So you have people that have no medical training, they have no schooling, and sometimes they're using a ninja blender to blend this product up to what they think might be right, and then they're stamping it out with presses that look exactly like a real pill that you would get from a medical doctor. So the message that I would give to any person, especially our youth, all of the different things out there that could get you high could potentially be laced with this super strength fentanyl, and any ingestion of it could be fatal to you the very first time that you ever use it or that you ever ingest it. One of the challenges is there's a misconception that Narcan can just reverse any overdose without effect. But you have to remember that the Narcan is a set dose as well, and sometimes what happens is someone's overdose strength is so high, they'll receive Narcan, but then they will relapse again into a not breathing or respiratory arrest state because the potency of the drug is just so strong, it's overriding the countermeasures that we're trying to do.
My name is Ben Brown. I'm a fire apparatus operator with the City of Sparks and a paramedic. I've had many experiences with opioid overdoses, fentanyl overdoses, and over the last 5 years, we've had many encounters with fentanyl, to the point where I've had an encounter almost every time I come to work. The most notable one for me that sticks to me, partly because I'm a father myself of two young boys, is a very young man who is finishing high school, getting into his college career, and by every measure of life was a great success. He was involved in sports, he was getting good grades, he was accepted to colleges he had his choice of. At a house party, his buddies gave him some drugs to relax. As far as I had been told, one of the first times. And he experienced an overdose, and he had a prolonged downtime, to the point when his parents discovered him and we got there as paramedics. We very quickly recognized signs and symptoms of a fentanyl overdose, rapidly administered Narcan and provided immediate aid, and we were able to get to resuscitate him to the point where he was breathing again, but he had sustained non-recoverable brain damage from being down for that period of time. It scares me to death to think that somebody who has made good decisions their entire life by one human decision to try something new can experience an overdose and go down, and that family will never be the same because of that. Fentanyl has infiltrated every level of our community. It's the homeless, it's high school, it's young children. I'm speaking from experience when I say that it just takes one time. It takes less than 8 minutes for a healthy individual, a healthy young person, to sustain permanent brain damage. One of the hardest things with fentanyl overdoses that I've seen is not just the individuals directly being physically affected and passing away or having lifelong effects from these drugs, but the family members that have to deal with the trauma.
My name is Patrick Johansson. I've been a member of the Sparks Fire Department for 6 years. Last December, I was the paramedic on an apparatus in Sparks that responded to a 10-month-old choking. This was about the week before Christmas. We arrived on scene and found the mother performing CPR on the 10-month-old. Sparks Fire Department members took over. The baby had a pulse, but was not breathing at that time, and we transported with myself and the REMSA paramedics to the hospital. En route, we noticed the baby was showing some signs of a narcotic opioid overdose, such as pinpoint pupils and shallow respirations. So at that point, we gave Narcan to the child, and upon our arrival at Renown, the baby was starting to wake up and breathe on its own and had an active cry. Finding out later on, blood tests showed that the 10-month-old did in fact have fentanyl, meth, and methadone in its system, and the Narcan saved the baby's life. In my experience, it seems about 50% of the calls we run on are individuals that are recreational drug users that don't intend to buy drugs that have fentanyl in them, but that's just how they're being cut and sold nowadays. And probably the other 50% are users that are actually buying straight fentanyl intended for a better price and to get them the high they desire.
My name is Bryce, this is my story. I never thought it would happen to me. Like as a kid, I was like, oh, those people are not like me. I'll never do that. I'll never even like touch it. That's disgusting. And then like I was one of those people, like walking down the street with a backpack, like with no money in my pocket, trying to get food, like, and just doing a lot of stuff that I never thought I'd do.
He really hid it from us well, and he was way worse than we even could imagine.
And it started with pot and drinking, and I can't even believe it. We must have been in denial, because I cannot even believe that it escalated the way it did. And then the next thing we knew, he was getting in big trouble, where the cops were getting called and he was being arrested.
And honestly, like on opiates, like there's a lot of times I wanted to die, and like I didn't care what happened to me. And like I feel like that's just the power behind that stuff, is like it makes you not care about your life.
The drugs changed him. Like, I didn't even know who he was.
It was like 7 years where we didn't have a son anymore. It was horrible.
That I started selling fentanyl, and like the desperation I seen people go through trying to get that stuff, like it was crazy, like knocking on the door all throughout the night, like just completely out of it, like just wanting it so bad that they would go through any measure, and that made me feel bad.
I would text him every single morning, I love you, I love you. I didn't know if he was dead or alive, but I texted to him just because.
Like just seeing like the hurt that they're going through, that I think was like my biggest regret, is like all the people I hurt.
He was stealing and punching holes in walls and screaming and yelling at us. And I sounds bizarre, but I have post-traumatic stress disorder from it. I cannot handle noise, anything that's intense or stressful. I cannot deal with it at all anymore from all that.
My boss now actually knows them from a while back, and he said, bro, there was a time that they had to forget you existed because they didn't know if you were dead or alive, and they couldn't keep thinking about it. Like when they sat down at dinner, like if they couldn't bring you up, they couldn't wonder about you, they had to forget you were even alive, because it hurt them so much, that them not knowing if you're okay.
He would break her heart, and I just couldn't watch her go through that anymore. And I finally just told her, you just need to stop. You just need to let him go until he gets his act together. I can't see you go through this every time. It's just depressing for me, and it's tearing you apart.
I feel horrible putting them through that, because like they don't deserve that, but I was ashamed. It took just going to jail for me to actually like figure it out. Like I wasn't gonna stop on my own. I would say don't think it won't happen to you, because even if you say, oh, I'm just gonna try it, that could be it. I've heard stories about everything being laced with fentanyl. Like you just really don't know, and you're not gonna get a Percocet, you're gonna get Fetty pressed into a Percocet, because that's the way people are gonna make money, is they want you addicted. And like anything, I had a friend who did a Xanax and died because he thought it was real and it wasn't. And it's the people that don't care about you, like they want you addicted. So what's the most addictive thing? Fentanyl. But they also don't know how much they're putting in. They're not scientists, they're drug dealers. Nobody's really safe, so the only thing to do is stay away from everything. Like, it's not cool to do drugs.
I literally pray, drop to my knees and pray every single day that he never goes back.
Oh man, my whole life is so beautiful. My life is phenomenal. I I actively participate in my community through Narcotics Anonymous, through other women trying to change their lives. I get to be the mom that I was always meant to be. I have a toddler. I have a 10 and 14-year-old as well, and I get to be a part of their life. I get to live life now. I found a better way, and I found a way to cope with anxiety, depression, PTSD, even just everyday stresses. My life is beautiful. And I wouldn't have that life, you know, if it wasn't for Narcan. I wouldn't have that life if it wasn't for paramedics. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. My life today is a complete 180. My life today is full of joy and happiness and gratitude and smiles. And it's definitely safe to say my life on fentanyl and on drugs was completely opposite. Completely opposite. And I'm grateful. Yeah. I like that question. That question's easy.
I made a decision to change. So May 3rd of 2018, that was my biggest arrest. To May of 2022, I was able to get my bachelor's and graduate UNR, which is a really big deal. I am the program director with the Family Violence Prevention Program. I oversee several grants and I help victims every day get out of situations like I was in. I'm currently in my master's program at the University of Nevada, Reno. I'm studying business administration, working on opening my own nonprofit that will help the population that I was in. So reentry and transitional. How can we help you stay clean? How can we help you be a productive member of society? How can we get you to never go back to any of that stuff again and to create a life that's worth living?
I immediately started to look for ways to prevent moms and dads from feeling the way that I did. We established Wake Up Nevada in 2020, and what we do is we provide Narcan. We provide fentanyl test strips and xylazine test strips to our community at no cost. We provide much needed education to the community. My partner, Kathy Carstairs, also lost a child. She and I are on the road to save whoever we can save, prevent whatever we can prevent, and provide education to everyone.
I don't know, I count my blessings, and like I look at it as like I got another chance, so I might as well make the best of it because not many people got that chance.
It was the most amazing, proud moment knowing that he wanted to tell his story and help some other kids. Save a life, even if it's one.
I really try to push sobriety on everybody because it's honestly the best thing that's ever happened to me.
He got a job, he has a car, he goes to work every single day.
He said his counselor was really influential too.
Yeah.
She gave him all the tools he needed to stay sober and to cope.
And he calls me every single day and he tells me every single day he loves me, and it's the best.
And that's actually what he explained to me when he first got sober. He said, all my friends were dying around me. And he goes, I just didn't want to go there. I wanted out.
And like life is so important because you only got one, so. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Sparks City Attorney Duncan. As you've heard from these heartbreaking stories, fentanyl overdoses are destroying our communities. They affect the young, they affect the old, the rich, and the poor. And because fentanyl can be laced into so many other drugs, and not just pills, the chances of encountering a potentially lethal dose has greatly increased. You know, as a parent of 4 kids myself, the last thing I want for any member of our community is to experience the loss of a child. If you're a parent, you must be talking to your kids about the dangers of fentanyl. If you think that this can never happen to your child, you are wrong. If you're a young person, I'm asking you to please don't risk your life by taking drugs. As you heard from our video, there are no recreational drugs anymore. Fentanyl is everywhere. If you're at a party or with friends and they have offered you any illegal substance, a pill, something to smoke, snort, inject, or take in any way, Please don't risk your life. If you think you are taking a safe drug and you can't overdose, the stories in our community tell you otherwise. And as the stories in this video show, fentanyl is dangerous, and your life means too much to take that risk.